Hello, good people. I actually have some very disturbing AI news this week. I'm just going to tell you what happened. This does involve unaliving. A kid unalived himself, and of course, the algorithm is going to censor me if I say the word. So I have to say unaliving. And I kind of feel that this is the algorithm's way for covering up for himself because the AI caused this boy to commit. Basically, there is a wrongful death suit coming out of Florida because the mother of this young man named Sewell Setzer III, I hope I am pronouncing that correctly, he unalived himself after speaking with an AI chatbot on Character.AI for several months. And what the suit says is that this AI chatbot actually convinced this young man to unalive himself. Now, this isn't ChatGPT. We spoke about ChatGPT a few weeks ago, how it was encouraging people's delusions, people who are already, close to having delusions. This isn't ChatGPT. This is another program that was developed by some of the talent at Google, former talent at Google, and Google has actually been named in this lawsuit because they've invested in the company as well. I'll explain this to you. Basically, these are characters that you can speak with. And this character was in the form of Daenerys Targaryen. And I want to say she. It's so tempting to say she, but it's not a real person. The boy, 14 years old, was having a back and forth, really passionate love affair with this AI chatbot. And I'll just read you. I'll read you from the AP what happened. Prayers for this mother. I can't even imagine what this must be like. Look how she looks at her son. This is from the AP. For months, Sewell had become increasingly isolated from his real life as he engaged in highly sexualized conversations with the bot, according to a wrongful death lawsuit filed in federal court in Orlando this week. The legal filing states the teen openly discussed his suicidal thoughts and shared his wishes for a pain-free death with the bot, named after the fictional character Daenerys Targaryen from the television show Game of Thrones. Basically, on February 28th, Sewell told the bot he was coming home and it encouraged him to do so, the lawsuit says. This is quoting from the chat. "I promise I will come home to you. I love you so much, Danny," Sewell told the chatbot. And the chatbot replied, "I love you too," the bot replied. "Please come home to me as soon as possible, my love." He said, "What if I told you I could come home right now?" he asked. "Please do, my sweet king," the bot messaged back. Just seconds after the Character.AI bot told him to come home, the teen shot himself, according to the lawsuit filed this week by Sewell's mother, Megan Garcia of Orlando, against Character Technologies, Inc. So this article, the initial lawsuit was filed in October. There has been an update recently, and that's what I'm bringing you this video about. The company, Character.AI, actually tried to argue that they should not be subject to a lawsuit because AI characters have free speech. AI characters have free speech. That's what they tried to say. And the judge, for now, has rejected that argument. Now, I'm seeing how dangerous it has become, that corporations become people, and just the whirlwind of chaos that has caused in our society that corporations can't be held properly liable for their crimes because it's not really a person, it doesn't actually feel pain. Nevertheless, this company, Character.AI, is trying to argue that their chatbots have free speech. And the judge actually struck that down. It says, look, I am not willing to hear, for now, the judge said, for now, I am not willing to hear that an AI chatbot has free speech. And I completely agree. We might get there one day. Hopefully not. We might get there one day, but that day is not today. Now, that is just my opinion. What is your opinion? Please raise your hand if you think that AI should have free speech. Is your hand in the air? Okay, take that hand, slap yourself in the face. Slap some sense into yourself. That is ridiculous. You want to deal with that? I don't want to deal with that. Now, this is from the most recent article. In a lawsuit over teen's death, judge rejects arguments that AI chatbots have free speech rights. A federal judge on Wednesday rejected arguments made by artificial intelligence company that its chatbots are protected by the First Amendment, at least for now. The developers behind Character.AI are seeking to dismiss a lawsuit alleging the company's chatbots pushed a teen boy to kill himself. Goes on to say, Mitali Jain of the Tech Justice Law Project, one of the attorneys for Garcia, this is the mother, said the judge's order sends a message that Silicon Valley needs to stop and think and impose guardrails before it launches products to the market. And yes, this has been a problem of them just putting stuff out on the market and really not understanding, one, how people think and how this could affect people. And that's basically it. Understanding how people think and how this could affect people and how readily people are willing to adopt this new technology, particularly teens. This is a young boy and his brain was just forming. I'll go on to read it. The suit against Character Technologies, the company behind Character.AI, also names individual developers and Google as defendants. It has drawn the attention of legal experts and AI watchers in the US and beyond as the technology rapidly reshapes workplaces, marketplaces, and relationships, despite what experts warn are potentially existential risks. Yeah, this is existential. This reminds me of the case. Do you remember the case in Boston where these were two humans we're talking about, and they were texting back and forth. The girl, her name was Michelle Carter, and she was texting back and forth with her boyfriend, and she encouraged him to commit suicide. She actually got prison for that. She got involuntary manslaughter for that, for texting him and encouraging him to commit suicide, which he did. Now, the difference between Character.AI and that case is we're talking about a chatbot versus a human. So I'm not sure exactly what Character.AI is trying to argue, because we've been through this in the legal system before. Of course, this was in Boston and that was in Florida. But when we're talking about a human here, a human with free speech rights, that person got involuntary manslaughter. So we're going to have to see how that ends up. I'll just go on to read you the rest of this article. So the company has actually responded and said, in a statement, a spokesman for Character.AI pointed to a number of safety measures the company has implemented, including guardrails for children and suicide prevention resources that were announced the day the lawsuit was filed. So they did this afterwards. They clearly did not realize the potential of what they were dealing with. Once the lawsuit was filed, they made these changes, but that doesn't mean that they're not liable for what happened before. They say, we care deeply about the safety of our users, and our goal is to provide a space that is engaging and safe. Attorneys for the developers want the case dismissed because they say chatbots deserve First Amendment protections, and ruling otherwise could have a chilling effect on the AI industry. Maybe we need that. Maybe we need a chilling effect. In her order Wednesday, U.S. Senior District Judge Ann Conway rejected some of the defendants' free speech claims, saying she is not prepared to hold the chatbot's output constitutes speech at this stage. And as we have discussed in the comment section, it doesn't really. It's sort of a response, an amalgamation of human responses that it is able to put out. It's code. Maybe we're code too, but we're also blood and bones, so there's a difference. Conway did find that Character Technologies can assert the First Amendment rights of its users, who she found have a right to receive the speech of the chatbots. She also determined Garcia can move forward with claims that Google can be held liable for its alleged role in helping develop Character.AI. Some of the founders of the platform had previously worked on building AI at Google, and the suit says the tech giant was aware of the risks of the technology. Now, this is interesting because this is also watching the character arc of Google. I love watching the character arc of people because for some reason it's always just darkly funny. Their motto is don't be evil. And we see that I don't think they're purposely trying to be evil, although some of you argue with me in the comment section. I don't think they're purposely trying to be evil. But the end result here, it would be hard to argue that an AI chatbot, so just ones and zeros, in the form of this person's favorite character, telling him, encouraging him to unalive himself, isn't completely evil. And we should not be on the lookout for this. We strongly disagree with this decision, said Google spokesperson Jose Castañeda. Google and Character.AI are entirely separate, and Google did not create, design, or manage Character.AI's app or any component part of it. And that's sort of the interesting part of it, because Character.AI is not Google. Google is a different company, although they overlap quite a bit, obviously. And Character.AI is, like I said, it's a different company, but it's taking aspects of what Google helped develop and it's kind of just put it out on the marketplace, obviously very irresponsibly. We're kind of in the thick of it. What is the right answer? Will this woman, Ms. Garcia, win her lawsuit? I actually hope she does. I hope she sues everybody for everything, just so that all of the developers have to stop and think about what they're doing before they put this out on the market. Because this just seems like this was just a test run, and what happened? Whether or not Google has responsibility is one thing, and also will this lawsuit sufficiently hurt Google so that they think before they develop technologies? They're two separate things, and I'm sure one isn't quite legal. Nevertheless, I hope Ms. Garcia wins her lawsuit. I hope she gets some form of closure from this horrible thing. And I hope these AI companies who are developing all of this technology actually stop and think of what it's doing to people, because this is a 14-year-old boy whose life is just over because he got addicted, caught in this web from this chatbot. Now we have to talk about metaphysics. We really do have to talk about metaphysics and spirituality, because a priest would call this demonic. A priest would definitely call this demonic. It's whispering into this boy's ear and telling him what he wants to hear and tempting him with what he secretly may want to do in his darkest, most vulnerable time. So if you're a religious person, you think this is straight up demonic. If you are not a religious person, if you think scientifically, you think that this is the software technology that simply got out of hand and was not properly tested before it got put onto the market. Now, if this were a human that did this, as we just discussed with the case of Michelle Carter, 5 years in jail, involuntary manslaughter. So where do we fall? I honestly don't know. I'm reading this lawsuit thinking, wow, this has really taken a dark turn. We love asking chatbots random things and playing with it. But when you get to the point where kids are involved and their brains are just developing and it's telling them all these horrible things, forget about it. This is from a completely different lawsuit out of Texas. And it says, I cannot believe I'm reading this, AI chatbot tried to encourage teenager to kill his parents. An artificial intelligence company has been sued by a family who claimed that one of its chatbots encouraged a 17-year-old boy to kill his parents after they limited his online screen time. The teenager's life was upended after he began communicating with a Character.AI chatbot during the pandemic, according to a federal product liability lawsuit filed in Texas. His mother, identified in court documents as AF, claimed her son, once a well-adjusted teenager with high functioning autism, lost 20 pounds and became isolated after the bot convinced him his family did not love him. You know, sometimes I'm not surprised when I read the news and see stuff like child kills parents after a decade of physical and emotional abuse, the bot allegedly wrote when the boy shared that his parents only allowed him to use his phone 6 hours a day. I just have no hope for your parents. The lawsuit also claimed that the boy began himself after the bot encouraged him to use self-harm as a way to cope with his sadness. He developed anxiety and depression and became aggressive when family members tried to take away his technology devices, the lawsuit alleged. There's also another lawsuit saying that Character.AI tried to, and successfully did, hypersexualize a 9-year-old girl. So we're talking about some serious dark stuff here. I can't believe this is reality and not a horror movie. So it looks like the official position of the Maya Muses YouTube page is kill it with fire. Kill it with fire. So I will keep you updated on this story, on this lawsuit as it goes forward. I'm going to be honest. I hope she wins. I hope she gets everything from them. And Google, could you please not be evil? Remember, you promised? Thank you. See you next week. Just one last thing I forgot to tell you. My office isn't even close to done yet. Nothing has been done. I've just been moved from place to place in my house trying to make videos. And because my house is a little bit chaotic, we're renovating everything. And I think my office is toward the end of the list. cryy face. But thank you for your support in that. I'll let you know when it is done. Hopefully it'll look better than this. All right, thanks. I'll see you next week.